Good morning. I'm Reverend Kathy. Welcome to Unity North Spiritual Center, whether you're here in person or whether you're with us on Zoom today. We're glad you're here. Unity North is an inclusive community. We welcome and accept all people. So whoever you are on your spiritual path, you're welcome here. And we're also part of a greater worldwide unity movement. We are the publishers of the Daily Word magazine, and we've been holding 133 years of prayer vigil through Silent Unity, the prayer ministry of the Unity movement. So prayer is the heart and soul of unity. And we always have a chaplain to pray, prayer chaplain to pray with you after service if you would like to join with them. And today's prayer chaplain is Rebecca Thompson. And let's see, she just is waving to you. Rebecca is in Redondo Beach, California, and she's one of our prayer chaplains. So happy you're with us, Rebecca. Thank you for serving in this way. So her number will show up on the chat and during announcements, so you can just give her a call after service if you want prayer support today. All right, with that, our Sunday producers this morning are Chris Italiano, and along with him, we have Brandy McLaughlin helping, and I think that's it today. And then we have Wanda Horner Carlson as our worship assistant. This is her last day today as worship assistant and with us, so we're going to bless her near the end. And then our musicians today are Sarah Raker. She's back with us. She was here last Easter, and we're happy to have you back, Sarah. And Nancy Helvig, our pianist. Let's give them all a big hand today. And before we do the opening song, we'll just recite our vision and mission together quickly. All right, let's say our vision. Centered in prayer, we create for all a world of love, harmony, and abundance. And our mission is celebrating spirit, exploring truths, awakening hearts, inspiring dreams, serving community. And the values that we hold here at Unity North are listed at the bottom. These are our core beliefs. And with that, I invite you to stand for our opening song.
Please sing with us this morning. Centered in your being, I rise. In this moment of healing, I rise. I am
Wonderful, thank you. What a great way to start our Easter service today. At this point in our service, we will welcome each other with a friendly wave. If you're here in person, you can wave across the aisles, and make sure you wave to the folks on Zoom in the back of the camera. So, welcome, everyone. Glad that you're here. All right, and do we have anyone with us for the first time today? All right, I don't see any hands, so then welcome back, everyone. And at this point, we do our prayer requests. So we just invite you to breathe and center yourself. And now we'll just take a moment for the prayer requests. And rather than saying them aloud for everyone to hear, we invite you to speak the name or request silently or aloud in the privacy of your home. And we give thanks in advance for these prayers, and we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Now let's remain centered for the daily word. Today's daily word for Sunday, April 9th, is Easter. I am resurrected through the power of Christ. On this glorious Easter day, I am resurrected and brimming with new life. The stones of defeat and limitation have rolled away. I am free and unlimited. Throughout my Lenten journey, I heeded the call from my soul to recognize the stones in my consciousness and awaken to the infinite potential within me. I can now rejoice in the shimmering light of awareness with an open, joyful heart. My faith is strong, and I am ablaze with the radiance of spirit. I welcome internal indwelling into my life and into my mind and heart. Hope never dies. Jesus transcended death and demonstrated that life is eternal. With a grateful heart, I rise up and claim new life. I am resurrected through the indwelling of Christ. It is a new dawn, a new day, a new beginning. I have risen. And from John 11:25, I am the resurrection and the life.
In the sanctuary of my heart, I find truth. In the sanctuary of my heart, I am whole. In the sanctuary of my heart, I find light, the light of God, the light of love, my beloved. We are one. In the sanctuary of our hearts, soul meets soul. In the sanctuary of our hearts, we will grow. In the sanctuary of our hearts, we are one with God.
today our meditation experience is a walking meditation. As we decorate the wreath with flowers, we may want to have the children come in too, Darlinda, if you let them know. The wreath is a circle, a symbol of our earth, our oneness, our wholeness. And so placing flowers on the Easter wreath is an affirmation that out of every ending, there's always a new beginning. Through this ceremony, we invoke the power of resurrection. So with the beauty of the flowers, we are also calling forth our own continued blossoming. In a moment, you'll be coming forth from the back to the front, and you'll come down the center aisles as our usher signals you, and then you can return down the side aisles. So we ask that you maintain a prayerful silence and let this be your meditation as we decorate the wreath and listen to the music. So remember, we are calling forth the power of resurrection and new beginnings in our life and in our world. And so let us begin in silence now as we listen to the beautiful music and focus on our renewal, starting from the back. We can have the children come first, though. So you'll take a flower and then put it on the wreath. Beautiful. See what beauty we create together. And after service, feel free to come up and you can fill it in even more. We have some extra flowers. So from the scripture, John chapter 20, verses 1 through 18. Now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early, while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and said to them, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." Peter then came out with the other disciple, and they went toward the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. And stooping to look in, he saw the linen cloths lying there, but he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came following him and went into the tomb. And he saw the linen cloths lying and the napkin which had been on his head, not lying with the linen cloths, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the other disciple who reached the tomb first also went in, and he saw and believed. For as yet they did not know the scripture that he must rise from the dead. Then the disciples went back to their homes, but Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. And as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb, and she saw two angels in white, sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And she said to them, "Because they have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Saying this, she turned round and saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom do you seek?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not hold me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brethren and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and said to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her.
Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sunset. comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, it's all right, it's all right.
Thank you both. Always a great song. Well, today, let us rise up out of crucifixion into resurrection, out of pain and suffering and divisiveness into joy and celebration and oneness, out of challenges and ordeals and the dark night of the soul into a new consciousness of light and love and unity. Let us leave behind false beliefs of original sin as promoted by Augustine and the early church fathers, and rise up into the knowing that we are born in original blessing, blessed by the universe for billions of years before church fathers created a concept of original sin, blessed by the universe, and also free from shame and unworthiness. We are blessed and we are a blessing. You know, for Easter Sunday or resurrection to occur, there must be crucifixion, because crucifixion helps open us to receive the highest good. And it allows the holes that make us holy, we could say. And all the great myths portray wounding. Jean Houston said, Jesus must have his crucifixion, otherwise no resurrection. He becomes just an interesting teacher without crucifixion. Dionysus must be childish and attract titanic enemies. Prometheus must steal fire from heaven and have his liver eaten. Job gets boils. Adam loses his rib. Odin trades his eye for wisdom. Every story has at its core extraordinary wounding and suffering. The Buddha almost dies and almost destroys himself before he wakes. And Jesus is in agony on the cross. Call it enlightened suffering. And so too must we become more conscious in our suffering. We can continue to hold the vision and belief that we overcome suffering on the planet Earth, and we continue to let go and let God when we do experience it. And we ask, what is the lesson here? So when we become conscious in our suffering, we awaken to compassion and forgiveness. We realize our suffering is part of a universal story, and we use it to transform ourselves and to help others. So we become a light bearer showing the way, explaining the roadmap to others who suffer. And then our wounds have meaning. We rise up and we become a wounded healer. In our confusion and grief, we resist letting go of the past. We may want to do things the same old way. like the caterpillar who looks up at the butterfly and says, "You'll never get me up in one of those contraptions." We cannot do things the same way because we are changing. A new person is being born, emerging from the tomb, and we've not been there before. So it seems that sometimes we need people who have suffered themselves to lend us their roadmaps. And Jesus was such a one. He provides a roadmap. Well, there was a nurse on the pediatric ward of a hospital who, when she would listen to the chests of the little ones, she would put her stethoscope in their ears and let them listen to their own hearts. And they would always be wide-eyed with wonder. But they never had quite the reaction this one little boy, David, had. He was 4, and he put very gently the stethoscopes into his ears and the disc over his heart, and sat there, and she said, "What do you hear? What is that?" And got his eyebrows together and kind of frowned and listened and listened. Then it just seemed he was totally caught up in the mystery of the beating of his heart. And then he asked, "Is that Jesus knocking?" Reminded me of my eldest son, Chris, when he was a little one. I was talking to him about God and being everywhere and everything, life force and everything. And I said, "He's even in your own heart." And he said, "You mean he flies around in there like Superman with a cape?" Well, Jesus provides a roadmap when we answer the call. And we can relate to Jesus's betrayal because we've had our own betrayals. And we have all spent those nights in the Garden of Gethsemane, struggling and saying, "Please take this cup from me," until we can finally surrender in the crucifixion and say, "Thy will be done. Thy will be done." And when we do that, we move into deeper compassion. "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." And this is grace, God's love in action, pure, unconditional love. It's the force that moves us out of the dark tunnel, out of the tomb, out of the birth canal into a new life. It is the force that helps us to rise up. Our heart is opened and transformed. My sister passed away about 3.5 weeks ago now, as most of you know. And toward the end, in the last few years, she was not well. She had a mental illness that was progressive. And at the end, she wasn't willing to accept it or get treatment. And her daughter, my niece, Jennifer, and I were very, very close. And my niece is the one who got the brunt of all of that, and most of it anyway. And so over the last few years, she had a very high level of anger and hostility at her mother, for her mother, and because she just had to put up with so much, and just rage inside of her. But one day, about 6 weeks before my sister passed, my niece was in the hospital. My sister was first in the hospital before hospice. And my niece had gone to visit her. And after she drove to a grocery store a couple of blocks away, and she sat in the parking lot and she just sobbed and sobbed. And she said, "I don't know why this happened. I have no idea how or why it happened, but all of a sudden, the rage and the hostility and the anger was lifted from me and replaced with total compassion. And for all the remaining weeks, she had this compassion to the extent that she took care of her mother every day, that they had a healing, an unbelievable healing in their relationship before my sister passed. And her healing also became my healing. So it was a very profound experience of grace. And that's what Jennifer said. She said, you know, it was truly amazing grace. So Easter is both very personal and also collective. It is a great cosmic awakening throughout nature. And it means we rise up from the bondage of crucifixion to the freedom of resurrection. The human spirit is capable of overcoming against all odds, and indeed does so again and again as long as we live upon the earth. The death of a loved one, divorce, addiction, bankruptcy, disease, business failure, homophobia, academic disappointment, miscarriage, mental illness, a debilitating accident, heartbreak, betrayal, abuse, disillusionment, all of these and hundreds of other events grasp our lives with the power and oppression of bondage, cast us into the isolation, chill, and dark of the tomb. And while any one of these can bring one to total destruction and end one's life even in a final death, far more often we survive and even triumph. We rise up. Some of you have stories of death and rebirth, of oppression and liberation, or stories of addictions that you have refused to let claim your life, or of destructive relationships you have found the strength and the courage to leave, or of the deliberate decisions you have made to live no matter what. We all have our miraculous stories when we have chosen, sometimes in spite of ourselves, to rise up. Some of you perhaps have seen a forest after a fire. Years later, the devastation is still evident in the acres of charred tree trunks, some still standing, bare of leaves and branches, some lying on the ground. And among all that devastation, new life, small shoots of trees, growth of fungus, struggling wildflowers, insects, birds, animals, making this place their home again. For even after fire, it can sustain life, though differently than before. Our lives are like that too. No matter what the fire, the death, the oppression, no matter that the rebirth is sometimes slow and painful and long, no matter that the new life is never quite the same as the old one, still we rise up and live again, to love and praise life, and the scars are but proof of our triumph. A mother was discussing death and new life with her 5-year-old son, Aubrey, and he said, "Mom, why is it that if heaven is such a great place, more people aren't hurrying to try to get in there?" And she responded, "Well, God placed something in each one of us that makes us want to live." And Aubrey said, "Oh, so that's what the liver is for." So each one of us have a liver inside of us. A man named Ben Woodson tells his story, Ben had been diagnosed with incurable cancer, and he had gone out of state to see his brother while he still could. And he said, in the wee hours of the morning when I couldn't sleep, I got up and wandered through the house. And after a while, I went back into my room and crawled under the covers. And when I did, I immediately felt that someone else was in the room with me. I felt a very strong and powerful presence that was exuding more love than I had ever experienced in my life. He said, I knew someone was standing right behind me by my bed, but I wasn't afraid because love was all over the room. So I turned to my right and looked over my shoulder, and there was a radiant man in a white robe, actually beyond white, and I knew it was Jesus. His face was loving and warm, and he fully embraced me until I felt his spirit enter me, and we became one. And then he said, don't worry, I am with you now. I have always been with you. You just didn't know. Everything's going to be all right. I have plans for you, and you will understand. The warmth and fullness started to flow over me, even faster now. I was laughing and smiling and he said, go about your life and follow your heart, and you will know what I want from you. Be natural, be yourself. And I slept peacefully. The next day I awoke and read my daily devotional. It was about a 3-year-old girl who communicated with Jesus on the telephone. Ben goes on to say that he was fully healed, and it was not instantaneous, he said, but the Christ took everything away that had caused the cancer, and then the healing process could begin. So this was a total resurrection experience. Resurrection does not always have to be so dramatic. It happens for us anytime we make a major change and begin anew. We are resurrected each time we pause and appreciate the wonder all around us. Or when we surrender and say, God, I just can't do it alone anymore. Then we just watch the divine taking over for us. The life of Jesus is a metaphor for the highest spiritual teaching. As such, it retains all the power of myth. And myth does not mean false, but rather a story with universal power that may or may not be true. So when we look at the life of Jesus, we see that he never placed himself above another. He did not attempt to put himself on a pedestal. He sought to rise up and to help raise everyone else up with him. If he was of divine origin, then so are we. Whatever he could do, we can do, and more. He did not want special status. He wanted to show us the way that we too could walk. He led not just by words, but also by example. Jesus fit the archetype of the God-man, the divine in human. As such, he's larger than life, and yet we all have a divine identity. A man named Richard said, my friend's little grandson came home from Sunday school, so I asked him what he learned. Nothing, he said. And I said, well, didn't you talk about Jesus or learn about Jesus? And he answered, no, he wasn't even there. In truth, the teaching of Jesus at that time was one of the most radical teachings to come to the planet, that we love everyone, including our enemies. We turn the other cheek. We do not judge lest we be judged. And so on. But Jesus wasn't milquetoast. He was a burning flame. He started a revolution. You know, I believe that if he were here today in body, he would not be part of any one particular religion, that he would live and teach beyond labels, beyond prejudice, beyond any of those beliefs that keep us believing we are separate from one another. You know, it is essential to realize that where Jesus once walked, so now do we. The passion play is not his, but ours. And we need to decide whether we want to continue to carry our cross up the hill or put it down. So let us all continue to rise up from the historical Jesus into the consciousness of the cosmic Christ. Colossians 1:15-17 reads, "In Christ were created all things in heaven and on earth, everything visible and invisible. Before anything was created, Christ existed, and Christ holds all things in unity." Of course, in unity, we teach Jesus was a historical man, and Christ is the consciousness he attained. Theologian Matthew Fox says, one definition of the cosmic Christ is that it's the pattern that reconnects. It invites us into new paradigms. So we create a shift, and then we teach our children accordingly. And we move from anthropocentrism, God being a man up in the sky, to a living cosmology. We're part of a vast universe. We move from Newton believing the universe is a machine with parts to Einstein believing in our wholeness. We move from rationalism to mysticism, from obedience as a prime moral virtue to creativity as a prime moral virtue, from personal salvation, a belief that we have to be saved and redeemed from sin, to communal healing and compassion, from theism, a belief in one God outside of us, to panentheism, which we believe in unity, where God is in us and we are in God, like the ocean is in the wave and the wave is in the ocean. We move from religion to spirituality, and from patriarchy to true equality. Think of the difference these paradigm changes would create in education, in politics, in religion, in anything, in everything. What a change. You know, Fox says, too, an appropriate symbol of the cosmic Christ who was present in Jesus and is present in all living things now is that of Jesus as Mother Earth, crucified, yet rising daily. She continues to provide for us and love us, even though we crucify her daily. Yet like Jesus, she rises from her tomb every day. Jesus was sensitive to the pain of all. He identified with the suffering and oppressed ones. And he said, I tell you solemnly, insofar as you neglected to do this, to one of the least of these, you neglected to do it to me. Is Mother Earth not hungry and thirsty, a stranger and naked, sick and imprisoned? The cosmic Christ is the hope of renewal for us all. In our own resurrection, let us remember Mother Earth and all those on her who long to rise up. We are called, like the cosmic Christ, to radiate the divine presence to, with, and from one another. And we, with our unveiled faces, reflecting like mirrors, the glory of the Lord all grow brighter and brighter as we are tuned into the image that we reflect. So let us rise out of crucifixion into resurrection. And when you rise up from your seats today, go forth to radiate and celebrate love and new life. God bless you and happy Easter.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you. Silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting harder to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you. 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up high like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again for you, for you, for you,
Oh. Thank you, Sarah and Nancy. That was absolutely beautiful. And at this point in our service, we bless our offering, and we invite you to go to our website at unitynorthmn.org and find the donation button on the homepage and give your offering there. Or if you're in person today, you can put it in the basket at the back. If you leave cash, please put your name on the envelope so we can get it recorded correctly. Or if you prefer to mail a check, our address can be found on our website as well. Now let's speak together our offering blessing. Divine love flowing through me now blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Thank you. All right, and now our announcements, our community news for this week. After the service today, in person, we will be having a potluck following the service. And if everyone could please help us clean up quickly at the end of the potluck so we can start the drumming portion, which is with Carl Schlotterbeck, and it starts at 12:45 p.m. today. An hour of drumming following the lunch. Share your extra drums and rattles with each other. And family table drive-through for this month is on Thursday, April 27th at 5 p.m. If you would like to help pack and serve the meals, please contact Kathleen, and her information is listed there. And coming up on Wednesday, April 19th from 6:30 to 8 on Zoom is our next installment of Understanding Ourselves and Others, the travel and aid adventures of a white family in Nambia with Aaron Casper Fred. And they are going to be sharing their experiences that they had on their recent trip. It should be a fun evening. And then we have another game day coming up, and that is on Sunday, April 23rd at 11:30 a.m. right after the service. Kids and adults of all ages. The first game day that we had was a big success. Everyone had fun playing games, and we will have a light lunch for $5, or you can bring some snacks. We'll have some here, but if you prefer to bring your own, that's fine as well. And please bring your favorite games or card games so that we have a selection to choose from. And next Sunday, on April 16th, we have a guest speaker, Reverend Lori Brandt, and she has served in Unity churches in leadership and healer capacities in the Twin Cities since 1989. She's now semi-retired, and Reverend Lori speaks at various Unity churches and offers classes and workshops as Spirit guides her. Her lesson will be on abundant living. So be sure to join us for that next Sunday. And then on Mother's Day, Sunday, the 14th of May, we have the plant sale. And there's going to be a variety of colorful patio planters and hanging baskets to brighten Mom's Day or your own. And also save the date for Greg Tamblin, a comedic singer and speaker, and he will be here on Sunday, May 21st. And he will be here in person and doing a hybrid service. And he is an award-winning speaker, humorist, songwriter, singer for over 25 years. He combines outstanding audience rapport with an irreverent sense of humor. And if any of you have been to any of his services before, it's always a lot of fun.
And there'll be an afternoon concert too.
Oh, okay. Concert in the afternoon and a late lunch. And then today, as mentioned earlier, our prayer chaplain is Rebecca Thompson, and she can be reached at 424-400-9011. Reverend Kathy will lead us in our prayer for protection.
And before I do that, I want to do a special blessing for Wanda. She's moving off to St. Cloud. She already has a place there, but you know, that's only an hour away. So we will see her in and out from time to time and online with us, as well. But she's been a wonderful board president in her time here, and she's been a fabulous worship assistant. So let's bless her with our special unity blessing, which is, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Together, Wanda, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. And we bless you on your new adventure. Thank you. I'll give you a hug. Anything?
I just want to say that the 4 years that I've been here have been definite growth in my personal and spiritual journeys. And this is my last week being worship assistant, I just want to encourage anyone who's ever thought about it or hasn't really thought about it, of being a worship assistant. When Reverend Kathy first asked me, my thought was, you want me to stand in front of people and read something? That had always been a fear of mine, was reading out loud, going back to some childhood trauma. But it has been a growing experience and a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something new to try, most certainly contact Reverend Kathy, and we would love to have a new worship assistant too. And I just want to thank you for the wonderful time that I've had with all of you.
All right, and thank you today for our production team, Chris and Brandy. Give them a hand. And also for our musicians, Nancy and Sarah, wonderful. Right. And thank you to all the rest of you who've helped make this service possible with our flowers, Christine and Darlinda, and those of you who've helped. So let's now speak our affirmation first together. Centered in prayerful intention, we give thanks for an overflowing abundance of spiritual awakening, prosperity, new members, and children for Unity North Spiritual Center. And please stand for our prayer for protection and our peace song. Come back to our prayer for protection, please. One more back. There we go. Okay, together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.